Hey everybody, it's Chris Holcomb. Terrific Tuesday's back. Missed that day last week. I do apologize for that. Primarily, it's a new episode as always, coming straight to you. This week we're going to talk about Turnkey Properties, which is a very known title for a lot of opportunities in Metro Detroit, out of state, Phoenix, Dallas, Cleveland. And a lot of times people don't understand that concept, and I think a lot of times we put, even though it's under the same umbrella, we put cash flowing properties with turnkey properties, and necessarily they're not the same. Nothing's wrong with either of them because they both do one thing: to give you cash flow. However, regarding a turnkey property, and when you're offering that concept, you're offering a finished product, and 99% of the time it has a tenant placed in there also. But the finished product means it's been a distressed property that's been bought, or short sale, foreclosure, whatever the origin of the property is, and it's been renovated, meaning it's been upgraded if it's an older layout to a modern layout. If it's distressed and it's got a lot of things that are as I would say, damaged or outdated, then it's been updated in those aspects. So it's been renovated or rehabbed, whichever word you like to use, to some aspect or some spec. From there, a tenant is placed in there, living in a newly renovated rehab property, and now they're paying cash flow. Now that can still be a cash flowing property, but a lot of times when people say I want a tenant occupied cash flowing property, doesn't mean it's been renovated, updated. They could have just did some cosmetic paint, which is also considered a rehab or renovated, or they could just put a furnace and a water tank in there and threw a tenant in there. So a lot of times when you're asking for a turnkey property, you need to verify the most prominent thing is what rehab was done to the property and when. How long has the tenant been in and when? If the tenant been over 5 years, not really a turnkey, it's really a cash flowing property, because you don't know what rehab or maintenance you will have to provide. And a lot of times when people do ROI, they don't take that into account, and they be like, oh, okay, I got a cash flowing property, I'm good. No, put in your maintenance, because if it's not a turnkey property, the roof could be needed to be done, the windows might need to be updated, the doors, you may need to put a new furnace in there, you may need to do something with the plumbing, electrical. So you need to be conservative in your numbers per month of your cash flow, what needs to be put aside for maintenance. That's just the honest truth. With a turnkey property, I would say, you should know when the rehab was done. So if you're buying that property this year, either it's been a year or maybe two that it's been renovated from, so it's got a new water tank, got a new furnace, windows have been updated, or if they're in good shape. And my viewpoint on the turnkey concept, anything that can last 10 years, you don't replace. Anything that you know won't last 10 years, you replace. So then when you do your calculations, even though you're putting aside conservatively for your maintenance, you don't have to use those funds until maybe a year or two or three or year 4 or maybe year 7 that you need to do something major. You maybe need to redo the gutters, maybe need to redo some piping, or upgrade something in the kitchen, electrical wise. Those are the things that I primarily look at when you say turnkey. So I wanted just to educate people, because a lot of times people be like, it's cash flowing. Just letting you know, it's not a turnkey, it's a cash flowing property. So the tenant should be seasoned, meaning they should be there 3 or 4 years. That property should have been having payroll, or can't think of the word right now, but should have the bankroll and let that know what's been paid from that tenant for those 5 years. What's been done during those 5 years? Have you done any repairs since owning a property, or since putting the tenant in? How many tenants have you had in there? When it's turnkey, you shouldn't have that much history, because it's been truly renovated in the last probably 2 years. So that's a concept. Also, in turnkey, you can just do direct turnkey, meaning, hey, I want a finished product, because that's what a turnkey property is, and when can you provide that? Meaning then they'll find a distressed property, they'll do the rehab, they'll update it, rehab it, and put a tenant in there, and you'll get that in 3 weeks or something in that time frame, depending on the property, depending on the upgrades, and depending on where you're doing it. In Detroit, from open and close, it should be 3 weeks or less, depending on how your rehab crew works. So you should be able, for a standard rehab where you might have to do some major things, 7 to 10 days. So you're looking at maybe a 2-week time frame from that, and then your closing time. and you should already be scheduling your closing monitored to when that rehab will be complete, so it's a consistent process. So then it's not a hold time, because you don't want any properties in Detroit or maybe any other place sitting for a substantial amount of time, because that's when you get our opportunity for vandalism, because people will watch a newly property being redone, and if no one's moving in after it's done, then you need to either board it up, or you need to get someone to sit and watch your house. So those are just another backdrop of FYI, but that's what turnkey is versus what cash flowing is. They both could be the same, because if I'm saying it's a cash flow property that's been newly renovated in the last year with a new tenant, or this is a second tenant or whatever, that's a turnkey property, because they're turning over the note. This property is a finished process. It's a finished project, and it's complete, and you don't have to do anything but collect rent. That's why it's a turnkey. You just collect rent and pay taxes, and you should be good for 3 or 4 or 5, 7 years. If it's not, and it's just a basic cash flow, and that's why you have to get an understanding for international investors, out-of-town investors period. If you're not familiar with real estate, you probably need to verify that with the person who's selling the property, and that gives you the the ins and outs. A lot of times with a turnkey property, they may give you a year warranty. Certain things they put in because it's a turnkey. They know things have been updated and renovated, and now the tenant's been placed, and the tenant should be happy because it's a fairly new property, at least modernized, I would say. It ain't gonna be brand new or nothing like that, but a lot of the major things from electrical, plumbing, roof, windows, all those should be standard to last for at least 5 to 7 years, I would say, ultimately. So just wanted to share you guys that aspect of turnkey, because a lot of people advertise as a turnkey property, and it's like, dude, you done had that property over 7 years. That's a cash flowing property. Ain't no rehab been done. That tenant's been staying in there doing whatever they've been doing to maintain it. Is it a rental? That's another thing to leave you guys off. Even with turnkey, it could be Section 8, it could be rental, it could be land contract. Verify that also, because that's your expectations of your tenants that's in your property also. So that's another FYI caveat to turnkey, because it could be all that. I could be Section 8 in it and putting Section 8 tenants in renovated properties. That's a turnkey. You're getting still the same thing. You know your check coming every month, and you don't have to do any work on the property. Property management's in place. You don't have to do anything, and that's another caveat. If it's a turnkey, all that should be in place. All I'm handing you is a note, the responsibility of the property, and now you have an asset that's bringing in this much per month. And the ROI really tells that, and then there's the net operating cost that gives you what you take home. So all in all, those are the due diligence you need to do, even with dealing with turnkey properties and cash flowing properties, because they are the same, but in some aspects they're not. So just make sure you know what you're getting when you are purchasing it. Make sure it's been outlined completely. And as I see, I'm going way over time, but just want to make sure I provide you guys with enough information. As you see, I'm still out and about. It's getting a little more chillier in Detroit, meaning that things with the elements will affect a lot of things, and that also includes real estate. But it's another topic for another day. As always, stay focused, stay consistent. If you like this video, click the like button. Subscribe is at the top somewhere. If you want to watch more videos, you can see a link for that to watch more of my videos. Also, check out the website cnhgroupllc.com. That is cnhgroupllc.com. And I'll catch you guys on my next video. Feedback is always welcome, and y'all take care.